YouTube, Rick Marks here. We're still looking at the book Digital Minimalism by Carl Newport. I wanted to today talk about bringing back conversation. And I've talked in the past about journaling and getting your thoughts out and finding a channel. Now, it doesn't have to be, again, journaling in a written form. Get a camera out, start getting comfy with talking to a camera, and being able to open up, I guess, your brain and your thoughts. And I've talked about it before, get a channel yourself. There's thoughts that when you get them out there, others can tune in and learn from whatever it is that you're learning from. Life is to be learned, and I think with technology we've gone around this place of no longer being attached to quality conversation. Has there ever been a time where you've caught up with somebody, you've had a really fantastic catch up, like the conversation's been stellar and you've walked away and you've felt really like either challenged or imparted or renewed, or like you just feel amazing and you're like, wow, that was an awesome, catch up with, whoever. That's gone. Because these days we're down to these like crumbs as such of catch up. When we start this like conversation type DM, text message, whatever, where it's like, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? And like we would converse back and forward. Wind back the clock to 1990s and 2000s, and if you weren't around, come along for the ride anyway. It'll be stellar, I tell you all about it. There was a time where text messages would cost us, I think, 25 cents back or 22 cents, I think, was originally, and then they moved it to 25 cents as everything goes up in price. You could get for 25 cents, 250 characters, and then as the technology, the phones evolved, it then allowed you to do, I think, 3 text messages of the 250, and which allowed you 750 characters in a message. You had a tiny little screen as well. If you haven't seen one of the old school phones, no, I don't have one handy. I do have a few of the old school Nokias and stuff, but you had a tiny little screen. Essentially, your phone was there for phone calls and text messages. Your batteries lasted a million years, a week, but you used it as a phone, you used it as a communicator to line up things. So often you text message somebody just something more non-urgent, and you'd call them if it was urgent, and you used it as a watch. Some people use the other features like calculator, and they've all been in the devices for a while, but they were all sort of your extras. The benefit to that is, I would use that to call you and I'd say, let's catch up sometime. When are you free? You would then look in your probably diary at the time, a physical book that had dates in it, similar to a calendar. You would go, hey, I've got some time on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Can we catch up then? And you look at yours and, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, we can make that work, or, whatever it be. You've collated, you worked it out. That was your rendezvous. You either would text message it or you would have called it, depending on the urgency of it. Now, today, we either won't catch up, or we will backwards and forwards with, does this day work, does that date work, does this work, does that work, it gets so much more clunkier. And even with work, I often have found, my team will often just call me, because they're like, by the time I would have typed this out in a Skype or a Teams message, we would have had the verbal done, and I'd know what you needed me to do. So how much of our life, and this is even in the workplace with Skype and stuff, how much of it now has gone because we no longer converse, we no longer face to face, we no longer have a conversation. How much of it is all done via backwards and forwards messaging or emails back and forward. Often even emails would go off on tangents. So what started out as something ends up being something completely different, because it's evolved with that rather than being clean cut. So I've talked about it in the previous, work out where your time is leaking. Work out where you're spending your time. How are you spending your time? Are you creating value? Value can be determined however you want to determine it. If you're not creating value either for yourself, for others, for the world, anything, like I say, value has many determining factors, then maybe you need to attune, work out, where am I going wrong? What do I need to improve? How can I better the time? You know, if it's a matter of like, again, like I've done with my 5 a.m. getting up, you know, I've worked out the best time for me to get fitness and to maintain my own health and mental health as well, because again, exercise does that, is to get up at sparrow's fart and go and do my exercise whilst my kids are asleep. And you know, because when I was doing it the other end of the day, I was up later at night. Exercising before bed also isn't helpful with your chemicals and everything, because you're supposed to be like calming and winding down, not going and running 10Ks to come home and try and sleep. So working out where you're best to spend your time, and then adjust your schedule and your agenda to accommodate. And I've talked about the 5:30 or the 17:30 commute, making the window of time, finding time where you can say to your nearest and dearest, your close circle, call me at this time, any day, these days, whatever your schedule looks like, and actually answer the phone. I know my generation, and Gen Y and Gen X, and I know that the preceding generations are much the same, that we don't want to talk. For some reason we have a psychological scared to talk on the phone. We need to move past that. We need to grow up now, and we need to answer the phone. We need to have the conversations. We need to go back to having those challenges, because that's where the depth is. That's where you're going to get growth, and you're going to actually have good quality conversations. You can start to hone and probe, design that element, strengthen those muscles that we once had back in the 90s and the 2000s, because we actually went to places with people. We didn't have our phone like constantly checking it as such. The only thing we constantly checked was like time, and possibly every now and then to see if a text message had come in. The screen time has increased considerably. Our internet has increased. We once upon a time just had email. Most of our other stuff on the computer was programs you bought, an actual box with the application in it, and so you would buy your Microsoft Office product. Nothing was subscription, and we all knew where we stood. And today the whole world is all about subscription. It's all about signing up for things. It's all about you know, live, up-to-date version. You know, Office 365 is like updating around the clock. They're tightening security. They're trying to make it more flexible to work with you. Like I said, the robots have already won. It's not a new thing. They're already winning. The more time that you sit in these other devices, as TikTok, or you know, even within YouTube, all things are actually monitoring and working out what you like, what you don't like, what you sit and watch, what you won't sit and watch, where you're going to spend your effort and time and money, and what to advertise to you. If you haven't learned, they're watching. The aliens or whatever, the artificial intelligence, it's already running. So the robot's already going. You're either giving them the power or taking back the power. That's it for today. You have a fantastic day. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. There will be more. I am enjoying this book, and I hope you're enjoying the journey with me through this book of learning all about the psychology behind why we do what we do, and the technology and how that's impacted on us and removed us, I guess, from the analog world and into a digital world. So if you've enjoyed it, have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. See me tomorrow. Bye.